Hey you guys, happy Saturday. I'm here for training number 2. We're talking about blood sugar levels and how they affect our cravings, how getting our blood sugar levels under control can help us to have more control of our cravings and things like that. So we're going to talk about that today in this training. There's lots of good information. So if you haven't watched training number 1 or listened to it, you can go listen. It's about what are cravings and how we can control them. We're going to talk about how blood sugar levels today helps control them. So you probably hear the term blood sugar, blood glucose a lot, especially these days in terms of diabetes, because type 2 diabetes is becoming way more prevalent in our world, not only with adults, but with children. Diabetes used to be type 2 diabetes. When I refer to diabetes in this video, I'm going to be talking about type 2 diabetes. So type 2 diabetes is one that we can attract without any hereditary issues, without any it being passed down. We're not necessarily born with it, something people can just get due to different things, but a lot of times these days it's due to our diet. And I'm going to talk about how this stuff can help. I'm also going to talk about how your blood sugar levels can help you with cravings, and how if you are aware of those, it can help you with cravings. So the reason why it's so important is because these days type 2 diabetes used to be called late onset diabetes, like people in older age would get it. Now children are getting it. And so this is going to explain to you how the body's working inside and what's happening to make us crave more sugar, to make us crave more sweet things and things like that, which is so important on why we're talking about fooling your sweet tooth in this video, giving you recipes that are still sweet, not as sweet as a candy bar. They're made with better options for you. You still want to have those in moderation though. Even though we're giving you these recipes, you don't need to be having them at every meal or every day, because even though they're made with good things, like maybe the black bean cake you made, which I'm so proud of so many of y'all who have made it, but even though it's made with better things, it's still sweet. There's still natural sugars in it, which still spikes our blood sugar levels. So here's how it works. Let me just tell you that. So blood sugar levels, what happens is we eat sugar or we eat carbs. Yes, it happens when we eat carbs. So you see why this is such an issue, because I talked about in the first training that sugar is being put into so many things, not just cookies and cakes, but in so many other normal things that we eat all the time. You find sugar in so many things, so we're consuming it a lot more. We also carbohydrates. So there's so many processed foods. Like think about how much processed foods we're eating, whether it's chips or packaged snacks, whatever it is. We're eating a lot of processed foods, a lot of things that are high in carbs. So when we have sugar or carbs, here's what happens. Our blood sugar levels go up. And then also to regulate our blood sugar levels, our insulin goes up. That's what it's made to do. It's made to go up as we eat those things. And let me just say, we need some of these sugars and carbs because that's what gives our body energy. Our body burns those sugars and carbs and that fat for energy. But we are just like over consuming, like way past our energy levels, which actually makes us crash. So we're going to talk about that. So we go up, blood sugar level goes up, insulin goes up. Okay, insulin's doing its job. But guess what? Insulin works a lot slower. So as our insulin's working to lower the blood sugar levels and regulate us, we get that kind of like high energy, high like drive from the breakfast we had that was full of sugar and carbs. Maybe you had a muffin full of sugar and carbs. Maybe you had a latte with it. So you have caffeine and sugar in the latte. And that's what you have for breakfast. Think about that. Sugar, caffeine, and carbs. That's a lot of like high-powered energy. And then you hit this mid-morning crash, right? This like 10 a.m. Okay, I'm done. Your brain's like, give me something else. I need more energy because I'm crashing. That's what's happening. So your insulin's still working at this point. Your insulin's working to lower the blood sugar levels. But then we're like, oh, need something else. So you go grab something else. What do you grab mid-morning? You grab a protein bar because, hey, protein bar is good for you. But actually that protein bar is also full of sugar and carbs. So here you go, your blood sugar level's up. Well, guess what? Your insulin hasn't even had time to finish regulating yet because we're eating so often because of our blood glucose levels are just like crazy. And our body's saying, I need more. So then your insulin level, which is trying to slowly regulate because it works slower, it goes up even higher. It says, okay, wait, I'm up here. And its baseline's down here. It's still trying to like work back to the baseline, but it's slow, right? So you see what's happening here. It's like, it's coming up, it's coming down, but we don't give it time to come all the way down and regulate, and then it just goes higher and higher. And what happens over time, so this happens over time. It's not a like, it happened and here I am and I'm struggling. You may hear the words like insulin resistance because our body is getting overworked. our body is growing tired. Our insulin levels don't know how to regulate, so we become insulin resistant, which means the insulin isn't even working, and it's struggling, and it's overtired and worn out, and our pancreas is tired and worn out and can't do its job. And then what happens is we get type 2 diabetes or other diseases, maybe even some autoimmune diseases and things like that, because the receptors in all those places, they're tired and they can't do the work that they need to do. And so that's kind of what happens. And so how does that affect our cravings? You're like, wait, okay, that's a lot of scientific stuff. Wanted to explain it, but let's talk about how that affects your cravings. So because let's go back to the scenario of I wake up in the morning, I get my kids ready for school, we're running out the door, I grab a muffin, or I drop the kids off at school and I go to a coffee shop, I grab a muffin and a sugar-free but latte. But sugar-free usually at a coffee shop is made with artificial sweeteners, I'll tell you that. If it says sugar-free hazelnut syrup or sugar-free vanilla syrup, it usually has artificial sweeteners, which are even worse for you. So they trick you by saying sugar-free. You get this latte, you have caffeine, sugar, carbs, and sugar in your breakfast. And so, like I said, you're high on this energy level of yeah, we're doing good, we get to work, we get a bunch of work done. And then comes 10 a.m. and you feel this crashing, oh, I'm getting really tired, and your brain is actually saying, I need more sugar, I need more energy. Hey, I'm getting tired because I'm coming off of this crash, I'm coming low. And so it gives you these craving signals that start to say, hey, I'm hungry, give me more. I need something else to keep going, to keep pushing through the day. And then you feed it more, and that process happens, that scientific process. But then you just keep craving those things, because what did I say in training number 1? We can control our cravings by what we're feeding ourselves. That takes time. Can't just cold turkey stop feeding yourself anything sweet or anything salty and be happy with it, or not crave it. But as you lower the amount of sugar you're having, as you choose something else, as you balance your meals better, then you won't crave those things as much. Your body won't be constantly give me sugar, give me sugar, give me sugar, controlled by your cravings. So I gave y'all this awesome template of a plate. So it's from my cookbook, the Simply Sugar-Free Cookbook. It's called the Sugar-Free Plate. And so in that plate, it shows you how to have, it's in the group that we're in, it shows you how to have a balanced plate, what you should kind of be eating as a balanced thing. So it tells you need some protein, you need some fats, you need some leafy greens or good veggies, something with fiber in it, something that's going to help that stuff burn slowly and release energy throughout the day. The fiber helps it release energy throughout the time, not just crash. So when we just eat sugary carbs, you're just getting this quick release of energy. When you have fiber in there with it, you're getting slow release, so you're a steady place all day. You're not up and then down, up and then down. It gives you steady. So you need some protein, you need some healthy fats, you need some good fiber in veggies or things like that, and then maybe just a little bit of carbs. So that can feel really, really challenging, I'll tell you that, because the American food industry has really pushed us towards carby things for breakfast, carby, sugary things. Think cereal, think muffins, think Pop-Tarts, think anything. Granola bars that are, like I said, full of, the little ricey things, carbs, and a lot of chocolate drizzle, sugar, things like that they make you think are better. But these things aren't that great, and they've just pushed it on us because they know, like we said in training number 1, they know about bliss points. And as a side note, I want to tell y'all, this is what I read in this book about bliss points, that the bliss point sweetness for adults is about 7 teaspoons. So 7 teaspoons of sugar to some water is about the sweetness of a Coca-Cola, okay? So that is what gets adults at this point of this is good, but I want more. This is good, but I want more, okay? But for kids, and this just shows you how the food industry has aimed things at kids. Go back to thinking about those breakfast foods, the sugary fun cereals that are designed like cartoon characters, the cereal bars that have Paw Patrol on them or whatever on them, all these things that are marketed towards kids, right? So for adults, it is 7 teaspoons. For children, the bliss point requires 5 more teaspoons. For kids, the requirement of the bliss point, the place that gets the kids oh, this is sugary and sweet and good, is 12 teaspoons, y'all. 12. That is more than adults. So they know what's happening. They've studied this. And so we really have to begin to reframe what we look at as a meal for breakfast and things like that, because what we have been shown for years and years and years, maybe your whole life, is all these sugary, carby things, which is going to get you on this up and down trail of your blood sugar going down, you hit a crash, your blood sugar going down, and you're just being controlled by cravings all day long, controlled by cravings. So you want to get something that's going to regulate us throughout the day, that's going to give us that slow release of energy so that you're not controlled by cravings, so that you can maintain a good balance of energy. You don't get these crashes of energy. You don't feel exhausted. You don't feel aggravated. You know, like when you get these like cravings, when you're controlled by cravings, you're trying to fight against them, but your body's like, no, I need this, you're feeling tired, you're feeling aggravated. How often do you feel that? Yeah, I feel it. And so you really have to think about that. So I will say, I even shared on my Facebook, we made these delicious little like pastry things the other morning, and they were so good. And so morning number 1, I had the pastry, but I had it with eggs, and I made some zucchini and squash. So I had this protein, I had some veggies, but then I had my pastry. Okay, it was sweet, it was carby, but I tried to balance it with other things. So when I eat something like that, I try to balance it. In past years, our family on Saturdays, we would always make homemade waffles, and my husband would be the waffle maker. It'd be awesome, and we'd make a different recipe like every week. We didn't have like a steady one, but we'd make it better for you. So not with a bunch of sugar. We use pure maple syrup. We'd use better ingredients, things like that. However, I still noticed when I would eat that, I would just feel so sluggish. Like I'd feel like ready for a good Saturday, and then I'd just like want to lay around. Like it just felt ugh. And so I was like, I can't eat that anymore. And now as I've grown and realized it's not the waffle that does it, it's all the like carb and like even the natural sugars of a good pure maple syrup is still going to get me down in this like dumpy feeling. But if I balance it with an egg and things like that, it really does help. Maybe a little sausage and egg on the side. It helps me a lot. So I just want to encourage you, take this plate, maybe save it to your phone, maybe save it as your screenshot, and you can see it every time you sit down to eat and be like, okay, what do I need to do? Because it takes a while to remember this, you know, but it's like you can kind of begin to see a balanced plate. And so as you balance your plate, as you get that balance of things that your body needs in every meal, then you will start to regulate those cravings, not feel like you're controlled by cravings, but feel like you have control of your cravings, control of your energy levels, control of your ability to not get so aggravated, things like that. So I just want you to think about that. There's lots of things you can do for blood sugar levels and regulating them. This is just a training that will help you, and I want you to start with the plate. That's the first thing you can do. Start with the plate that I've given you. Use it, balance out your meals, and just start to see how you begin to feel. And try to, maybe not have a latte and a muffin for breakfast. That's just a great example because that's an easy fasting, especially if you go to a coffee shop in the mornings. But let me know what questions you might have. If you have questions, if you learn things in here, I want to hear it. Let me know, and I hope this is helpful. Talk to you later.